Hello class, this is hopefully is going to be a short video. One of the things that I want to show you with this one is what could happen if you install a default, or I'm sorry, you install a custom font on your machine, but say for example, I open up on my machine, or you take you take this file to a different machine that does not have that font. I want to show you, I want to demonstrate what that could look like. For example, I close this file and I disinstalled the fonts that I installed. So I'm going to go ahead and open it, and let me show you what's going to happen. You might get something that looks like this, and that it's saying that it's missing fonts. In this case, it's not a problem because if you used Adobe Fonts, I could just go ahead and it already knows that this font is available, so I could go ahead and activate this font. But before I do so, look what can happen. Any font that you have that is either that you downloaded, it's going to be substituted. And if you want to avoid this, I want to show you a different thing that you can add, that you could do. So in this case, I could activate it. But say, for example, previously I showed the other site, which was dafont.com, DAFONTS.com. Great site, lots of different fonts, but those fonts don't carry over. These fonts, one of the benefits of Adobe Fonts is that it's available. So I'm going to go ahead and activate this, and it's installing this font, and now it's successfully activated the fonts, and I could see my files. But let me show you one step that you could do to even prevent something like this. Right now, these fonts, they are still editable, meaning that I could go in here and I could change my text. I don't necessarily want to do that, but just showing that I could still edit this. But one thing we could do, we could change these fonts from actually, or sorry, these objects from being editable text to objects. So I want to show you how to do this. I'm going to go ahead for one of these examples. I'm going to, just to show you which one we're working on, we're working on this one on the top left. I'm going to duplicate the actual text. So now I have two copies. I'm going to hide one. So I could always come back to it, because what I want to do with this one, we're going to convert this to outlines. To do so, I'm just going to right mouse click. I'm using my selection tool. I'm going to right mouse click on it. I'm going to tell it to create outlines. By doing so, this is no longer editable text, and the idea that I could now say, for example, if I want to change my letters, I can't edit this text this way. These are objects that can be edited using different tools, but which we have yet to cover. But this now no longer has that dependency with your font. So if I was to save this file, I have two copies. This one, editable text, requires your font to be installed. This one is now an object. For example, if I expand this one just to show you, this is now a group, and within this one, there are separate individual shapes. These shapes now, for example, I could change the color for each one of these. So I'm just going to go through each one. Oh, I thought I selected it. Here's the O. Let's go ahead and make this one blue, so on and so forth. So these are separate shapes. I could go in here. I'm going to go ahead and select this one, for example, and I can move this out of the way. These are separate shapes. These are no longer editable text. So this is one thing that you could also do, especially if you're using fonts that are specific that you downloaded onto your machine, so that you could avoid having these fonts incompatibilities. So this video is, I want it to be very short, but this is something that you could do for your files. Now I don't like, for example, I'm going to go ahead and do it on this one. My suggestion is to make a copy of your font. That way we could always go back to it, because once we get rid of this, once we say, for example, I'm going to select this one, you could always go under Object, and let's see, it's under Expand, and it wants to know what do you want to expand. I'm just going to tell it the object and tell it OK. And that's a long way. I like to just create outlines to go, because that goes a little bit faster. but this gives me the same results. So once we have this, we cannot go back to this one. So that's why once we have this one, we cannot go back to changing it to editable text. So that's why I always suggest have a copy. Which you could always do once you're fine with that, you could always delete this, but it's always good to have this one. So for your project, before you submit it, make sure that if you are using custom fonts that you've installed on your machine, that you make sure that you make a copy of your font, save it, and then, or duplicate it so that one of them you are creating outlines. All right, that's all I wanted to show for this video. If you have any questions, let me know.